Welcome to the John Freakin' Muir Pod. Lace up those boots and sling on the pack for a romp through trails, short and long. With your host and Renaissance man, Doc, it's time to embrace the suck.
Welcome back to another week on the trail. I'm Doc, and this is the John Freakin' Muir Pod. Let's start off with a reminder. If you are enjoying the podcast, take just a minute, help us out, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. And if you're not enjoying the pod, well, just go ahead and keep that to yourself. All right, let's get on to this week's guest. I am very excited to welcome another Triple Crowner to the John Freakin' Muir Pod, Elliot Pacheco. How's it going, Elliot?
Fantastic. How's everybody?
Now, we go strictly by trail name here on the podcast. So I'm Doc on the podcast. Did you pick up a trail name during your 3 long trails?
Yeah. Quick story about that. On the AT, people were just trying to force trail names onto people, and I just kept getting the corniest names. So I just self-proclaimed myself Beats because I was carrying on a speaker, and just sounded cool.
Corny trail names. Do you have any examples of people trying to pin a corny name on you?
Oh, man. Color Man was the first one because I had like calf compression sleeves that were like turquoise, and I had a red shirt and like whatever. It was just the worst. And I would tell people, and they'd be like, "Colored Man," and some people got offended. But yeah, it was just bad. So yeah, Beats stuck.
Yeah, I think there's always that opportunity out there to say, you know what, that doesn't quite fit. That's not going to work for me. And so I've had a few people on who have taken it upon themselves just to introduce themselves as the trail name they want to go by, and it's stuck and it's done great for them. So smart. I've
met so many mountain goats and lost and found. It's like, let me make one that no one really has. So
right. Beats. I like it. Now, have you ever listened to the John Freakin' Muir Pod?
I have not. Don't hate me for it. I don't listen to podcasts too much.
No. I don't ask to get any kind of kudos or recognition or anything. I only ask because we have a regular segment at the end of the episode that I want to make sure that you're ready for. It is called the Pro Tip Insight of the Week. And so as we get to the end of the episode, I'm going to turn to you and I'm going to say, hey, Beats, you know where we are? We are at that time of the segment where you can share a bit of wisdom with our listeners to make their next outdoor experience even better. So don't be surprised when we get there.
Cool.
Okay. Hey, another feature we've been doing this season is the Must Bring Gear Review, sponsored by the ultralight backpacking gear company Outdoor Vitals. And here's how it works. If you were to let a stranger pack your bag with pretty much generic gear for a multi-day hike, what is the one specific piece of gear you would insist on being packed? And if you've got a particular brand for that specific piece of gear, even better. So Beats, what is your must bring piece of gear out there?
By the third trail, I feel like, because everything wets through, but my little Arc'teryx rain jacket, man, it became a body armor. It gave me a lot of confidence on high peaks with wind and the hail. So that for sure was probably my number one piece of gear. And the Garmin watch, the Guthooks app froze on me a number of times. Now it's called Far Out, but nothing against Guthook, but when you're on high altitude and it's freezing, your phones freeze, your fingers go numb, and you can't really touch the screen. And my Garmin watch would actually detect the trail a number of times to keep me on trail. So that too.
Okay. And what model of Garmin watch do you have?
I have the Phoenix 5X.
Okay. I think that's a couple of models higher than my Instinct. So
yeah,
very nice.
They're the best. They're the best thing ever, I feel like.
They are. I just ran a marathon down in San Diego on Sunday, and man, the Garmin. This is the first marathon I've run with my Garmin watch, and it was awesome.
Sick. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Now you said Guthooks is now Far Out. Did they change their name?
They just changed it maybe like a week or two ago.
Oh wow. Okay.
They changed the icon and everything on us.
Okay. Any other feature updates on Guthooks? Is it just rebranding, you think?
Aside from the icon, I haven't looked into it, because I'm back in society and stuff. So it's like I haven't even looked into anything other than like making my own little YouTube videos and stuff. That's it.
Okay. And let's talk a little bit about gear since we're on the must bring gear review. I'd love to find out about how your kit evolved over the course of 3 long trails. What did it start out as on the first trail? I believe your first trail of the three was the AT. So the AT in 2018, you show up to, did you go northbound?
Yes.
So you show up at Springer Mountain. What does your gear look like? And then tell me about what it looked like as you finished the CDT just recently.
So I was lucky because in 2018, man, Bigfoot and Darwin and Dixie, they all had like fresh YouTube videos with like gear, and I pretty much like blueprinted their stuff. It was a carbon copy of like Darwin stuff. So I had like Z-Packs Arc Blast and like, I don't know, like Patagonia Puffies, and I was still rocking the Merrills, and I had a North Face rain jacket, like, like stuff that you would take on a normal day hike. But a lot of the stuff, I literally copied all of their gear. I had a Vivo barefoot, like water shoes to cross river crossings with, and just camp shoes. Man, I can go through it. Wow, it just all started snowballing. I'm drawing a blank right now.
That's okay. What was your base weight as you started the AT?
It was definitely, man, because I didn't weigh it until like I was there and I had full food and full water. I'm gonna say 30 or high, 25 to 30 or higher. I was never an ultralight guy, but I had light gear and just kind of like balanced out.
Right, 25 to 30 with the food and water.
Oh no, it was probably heavier with the food and water.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, 40 easily. Yeah.
All right, so that first trip, you were not drilling holes in your toothbrush. You weren't shaving the grams. You showed up with 25. Oh, you were? Okay.
Yeah, like I was so corny because like the first week I noticed like I was getting my hands filled with toothpaste. And I'm like, oh, this isn't gonna work, But I was doing all that stuff. I was trying to like copy them, But yeah, I still carried a bunch of heavy things. Like I carried my GoPro and a selfie stick. I carried the biggest 26.8 milliamp for the battery charger. I carried all the heavy stuff just to make sure that I was prepared for whatever was thrown at me,
Right. And how did that change when you started the CDT?
Oh man, the CDT, I got a stronger rain jacket for sure. Carried less GoPro batteries. Honestly, I don't think it changed much aside from upgrading to a Hyperlight. Still carried the same amount of water bottles and the sit pad, and like I'm trying to go through it right now. My quilt stayed the same. I still had the same sleeping bag, same sleeping pad. Not much change, but I would still carry more things. Like I still had the duplex and the flex poles. Like I've always been known to carry heavy stuff. So aside from upgrades to my rain gear that I learned from the PCT, because like whenever got snowed on and stuff, but yeah, just upgrades on the rain gear. I think that's pretty much the only thing. And I stuck with the Hyperlight because it's something I depend on for sure. It carries a lot of weight.
So Beats, is your philosophy to just take what you think you're going to need and be well prepared rather than and be fine with carrying the extra pounds rather than being caught short out there, but having a really light pack?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of guys like be forced off trail because they didn't have enough like clothing for like cold weather. And I see ultralight guys like it's cool, but man, I don't want to sleep under a tarp with like bugs crawling on me. Like kudos to them. I think that's super cool. You know what I'm saying? But it's not I'm a whole Boy Scout,
Got it. Which brings me to another segment that I've been doing recently. It's called the hiking pole, and it's not like the hiking pole that's in your hands, but it's a hiking pole. Get it? Cool. Kind of cute, right?
Yeah, cool.
All right. So, first question: boots or trail runners?
Trail runners.
Okay. Tent or tarp? I think I know the answer to this question.
Tent all day.
Okay. Sleeping bag or quilt?
Sleeping bag.
And stove or cold soak?
Stove all day.
Okay, you like that hot food?
Yeah, every night. Ramen is like my comfort food at this point, and coffee in the morning became like a staple only because like you're getting up early in cold weather. It's like, man, what's gonna get me out of this tent? Something nice and hot inside of you. It just pushes you,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had a few guests along the way who were big proponents of cold soak, so I thought I'd give it a try this past summer. And the first couple of days, I was like, "All right, this is good." And then by day 3, especially when it was cold and raining, I'm like, "I need something hot," and it was just miserable.
Yeah, I don't know how people do it. I've hiked with people that cold soak. Even this trail, my little MSR Pocket Rocket, the threads on them, or they were just used up after 4 years of using them, so they wouldn't screw onto the gas canisters as well. So I had to cold soak for like 3 or 4 days of one last stretch, and I was like, it'll suffice, but nah. Yeah, not my preference.
I mean, you can survive on it, but
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're a guy that's gonna carry a few extra pounds to make sure that you are prepared, you're definitely gonna carry a stove.
Yeah, man, just be comfortable out there.
That's right. Okay. Hey, let's back up just a little bit before we get too far down the trail. And I want to talk about your background, growing up. What kinds of sports and hobbies did you play, and how did you get involved in the thru hiking cult? Because that's what it is, really. If there's a organization out there that convinces you to sleep in the dirt for weeks, months on end, that's got to be a cult. So,
right.
Tell us where you grew up and how you got involved.
Well, I was born in Puerto Rico, came to Perth Amboy at the age of 3. I'm as Americanized as they come. But being from like an eastern central Jersey, there aren't any mountains for an hour and a half. And I think the AT is the closest thing. But I want to be honest. Societal living in this area, there's too much, so many, I don't want to say rules, but just, it's legal now. So I'll be honest, I like smoking weed, and the woods was always like the safest place for me. I was a wrestler growing up. So like, I always had that grit, that drive to like, just the tough through things, to just be tough. Mm-hmm. So I started going on these short day hikes, and I wanted to see what else was out there. And I would just look for trails and would see that they all would intersect the Appalachian Trail. So I'd started going on like the local Appalachian Trail hikes and went on to the Stairway to Heaven. I started just going on the high points in Jersey. And then I saw some guy, he came into a restaurant that I used to work at with all the high points on the AT. Took a picture of his shirt and then went to, I think Mount Greylock in Massachusetts was the first place that I went to outside of New Jersey. That was like a challenging hike. When I went out there, I met this guy that looked like he was homeless. I only mentioned that I smoked because I had just finished rolling up and I was about to, smoke on this high point, and I saw this guy and I was like, what's this guy doing? Is he homeless? Like, does he want to smoke? So I was like, hey man, are you hiking? Like, what are you doing? A huge pack and stuff, big beard. He's like, come over here. Cause I was really far away from him, like super skeptical about it. So, I go over and he's like, yeah, I'm hiking from Georgia to Maine. I was like, what? He's like, yeah. He's like, people do that. I was like, really? He's like, YouTube it. So I smoked with him, talked a bunch, and then I YouTubed it. And I when I tell you I never looked back, bro, like I got so hooked. And I saw like the Black Alaskan was hiking the AT that year, and I got super into his videos. And he smoked cigarettes and stuff like that. I was like, if he can do it, like I can totally do it. Cause I was super like, I always identified as an athlete, So once I saw his videos and I just started buying gear, and it just snowballed into all this stuff, and then, I think one of my family members had like a near-death experience. We were in the hospital, and I was like, guess what? I was like, I'm going to go do this thing. Cause like you almost just died kind of thing. So I was like, I'm definitely going to go do this, and I was already working like a dead end job at a restaurant that like had no like progression. There was no opportunity for growth. And I was just like, what am I doing here? It's been like 5-6 years. I'm working like a Tex-Mex spot. Like, I'm not doing anything with my life. I've yet to acquire my degree. Like I was going to school and I was just like, this isn't what I'm passionate about. And I don't know, this just kind of stuck. So having that background of wrestling, because I played football, but the teams in my school, they all sucked. And I don't know, man. It was just like, I saw that through hiking and wrestling kind of had the similarities with it, where it's like, it's all about accountability. If you don't sleep well at night, you won't wrestle well the next day. And on trail, if you don't get enough sleep, you're not going to hike the miles you want to the next day. So I saw all that, and it's like a mental battle a lot. So it really like drove me to challenge myself, just to like, cause my morale was already low. I was like, what am I doing with life? I already feel like a loser in society. And so once I saw that I was like, that I could carry a heavy pack and push big miles, I was like, all right, like I think I definitely want to do this. So that's how it all happened, honestly. Just me trying to escape from society, feel free, and be in a position where I could be an athlete. And not that I was comparing myself to other people, but like you essentially do, like when you're on a track, you run faster when someone's running next to you, So like that always drove me, like, are surrounded by all these people and stuff. So I would always feel empowered to like push harder and stuff like that. So that's where it all started. Just me trying to escape from society. Cause like, whatever, I have all these arrests from smoking weed, you know, and it's legal now. So it's like, dude, what a waste of my youth that was. So once I found the escape, it literally was an escape. So that's what it was for me, man. Just having that escape, being able to smoke, being in an athletic like environment, and just being with people that had a lot of similarities to me, you know.
Beats, that is one of the most original and interesting origin stories that I've ever heard about a thru hiker. That is something right there.
I really want to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I appreciate that. And, you know, I'm always fascinated by that moment where future long trail hikers, they first become aware of the long trail, where somebody, you know, they read something, they come across something, they meet a thru hiker, and that moment of realization when you think there's a trail that goes from Georgia to Maine, or there's a trail that goes from Mexico to Canada, and you can walk that whole thing.
Unreal. Still can't believe people do that, you know. Like, I've already done the big 3, and it's like, what, people do that? Like, crazy. 6 months, 4 months, like, why? And it's like, you find out why. It's unreal.
Yeah. And do you happen to remember the name of the thru hiker, the trail name of the thru hiker up there on the mountain you saw?
Shadow.
Okay.
Yeah, Shadow. Yeah, he had hiked, I think, in 2017. He was on the trail in 2018. Like, he was at trail days. Like, he just lingers, you know. He's one of those guys that just lingers. But I never saw him again. I had heard he was on trail. So yeah, Shadow was the guy, man.
Okay. Now, what do you currently do to pay the bills or finance your next trip?
So right before the CDT, I was climbing cell phone towers and putting up 5G like antennas. So I got that job through like a family member, and I was doing that. And it's great because, like, with COVID complications, a lot of the jobs weren't able to get these contracts because, like, I don't know, just all these complications. So the people there were able to like let me leave, and they offered me a job when I came back and all this stuff. So before that, I was just working at a restaurant for 5 years. And then in between that, it was working at like some freezer warehouse, like nothing, just little odds and ends, you know?
Yeah. A lot of folks, including me, kind of live vicariously through the long trail thru hikers. I don't have the luxury of being able to take off 4 or 5, 6 months to do a long trail. My job just won't allow that. But that's fantastic that you were able to land that job and then have the time off to do this hike and come right back and pick up where you left off.
It's a sacrifice, because like I still feel like, I hate to say it, but I still feel like I'm a loser. You know, I come back to this on trail, especially this third one. I'm constantly thinking, what am I going to do when I get back? Like, where's my life going? Where's my life headed? And that's like the mental battle that I go through. It's like, dude, I'm a loser. Like, what am I doing? You know? So yeah, those jobs are like, they're all right, but it's just like, what am I doing with my life? So it's a sacrifice for sure. I'm absolutely sacrificing financial stability and stuff like that. And that's a killer for me, but it's cool that I'm able to do it. And it's great that you guys are able to watch it, but it's like, dude, you have to understand that I'm going through it.
Yeah. I totally get that. Totally understand that. And I've talked to a number of people who have said, you know what, when I get to my deathbed, I don't want to be laying on my deathbed and be, very few people get out on the deathbed and think, I should have worked more. I should have worked longer. There's a lot of regret about not doing the things that you wanted to do, not going out and fully experiencing life. And so it's another way to look at it. And also living in the moment, especially when you're on the trail. It is so hard. It's so hard just as a human being to live in the moment. I like to talk about how when I was a kid, I was always looking forward, right? You're looking forward to when high school is going to start. You're looking forward to when you're going to drive. You're looking forward to, what career am I going to be in? Who am I going to marry? What's, my kids. And you're just thinking always ahead. And nobody ever tells you that there's a point in your life where you stop looking forward and you start looking back. Oh, you remember the good old days. Remember when we did this? Why can't we do this anymore? And that bubble of being in the moment is so elusive, and enjoying the moment while you're in it. And I think the trail, being out on the trail, that is, if you can stay in the moment on the trail, that is a fantastic experience.
Even when you're on trail, man, like I remember when we had 1,000 miles left on this last trail, and I was telling my trail brother Tex, I'm like, Tex, like, it's gonna go by so fast. Like, Like once we hit 1,000, once we get to Butte, once we get to yada yada, once we get to Montana, I'm like, dude, it's gonna end so fast. We get to Glacier, and it's like, dude, we have like 100 miles left. Like it's over. I'm like, it's over. You remember when we were talking about the last 1,000? Now we're here. Like, it's even harder to live in the moment sometimes. You know, that's why like I got so upset on this trail because like, yeah, some people took like a different route than I did, whatever. But you know, hike your own hike. But essentially, I got upset because like the social aspect just vanished, and you don't remember, like you don't reminisce about, oh man, remember that day when we did those miles and we were suffering? No, you remember like the times you laughed and stuff like that. Like for living in the moment for me, is that the social aspect is such a big thing. So like, yeah, man, I really, really missed that this year, you know, living in the moment sometimes. Man.
And that is so mind blowing to me to hear you talk about, hey, we've only got 1,000 miles left. It's going to be over before you know it. I mean, that's insane. That's an insane statement right there. But you know, accurate from your perspective and what you've gone through. You know, it's coming to an end, and it's not like, okay, I've got another long trail in America left to do before the Triple Crown. I mean, this is the last of the three that you're doing, and so that makes it even more bittersweet that, you know, there's only 1,000 miles left.
And from the southern terminus, I had already anticipated the ending because it's like it's the last of the three. So like at the southern terminus, I was already like kind of stressing, like, man, like this is it. Like yeah, I can hike them. Yeah, no, the trails will always be there, but yeah, like I'm getting older. I'm like mid-30s, dude. Like I have to like if I don't get my life together, mommy and daddy die. Like what am I gonna do? You know what I'm saying? So like that was always a weight on my shoulder, and then the transition back into society was a lot easier because I was anticipating the ending from the freaking start. But miles fly by. Time is like, man, it's sand through your fingers.
Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. And I know we're going to talk about each of the trails here in a little bit more detail. But before we get to that, you know, when did you set the goal of becoming a Triple Crowner? Was it before you actually set foot on the AT, or was it somewhere along that trail, or was it even after that?
A lot of us on the AT, I don't know what it is about the AT, but it just makes you fall in love. You either like it or you don't. And it's not like it's you're super passionately in love with it, or you're like, all right, one is enough, you know? I think it was around Virginia. I remember I had come up some incline and I saw my boy Cruz and my friend Pika. They were just sitting down on a rock, and I came across them. They were sitting, and I was like, guys, I was like, how can we only do one of these? And Cruz Triple Crown the year before I did. Like, I don't know. A lot of the people from 2018 on the AT, man, they were super driven, like Ginger Balls, all these people, like Triple Crown already. Ivy Tat Feathers was going to do it. We were just super into it. And somewhere in Virginia, I just told them, I was like, how can you only do one of these, you know? And they're like, yeah, you know? So it was on the AT, the first 2/5 or 2/6, you know, like first third of the AT, you're just like, man, like I'm going to do it again. And, you know, my family still had no idea what I was doing. You know, they watched my YouTube video, but they're like, oh, what the heck's he doing out there? My father definitely thought I was just walking on a graded through the woods, just wasting my time kind of thing, you know? After I did the AT and I was sitting in my kitchen, my sister came up to me. She was like, so you're doing the PCT next year, right? I was like, word, like you're into it like that. And then on the CDT, like I wasn't planning on hiking this year because of, you know, COVID and all that crap. Mm-hmm. And my mom came up to me. She's like, yeah, your dad and I are expecting you to go. I'm like, no way. Cause I was expecting like to apply for a union job in the city to try and make big money, you know, with my brother and stuff. And they had pushed back their application process. And I was like, all right, like that's still up in there. And then my mom came up to me. She's like, yeah, your dad and I are expecting you to go. I'm like, no way, you know? So yeah, man.
That is a great story. That evolution of your family's perspective on this and how they have come around to be, you know, 100% supporters of your journey. You don't hear that sometimes. I mean, there's a lot of families out there like, you know, what are you doing? This is a waste of time. Or they don't understand it. And it's frustrating for people, but it sounds like they have come full circle and are right behind you there.
Especially a first generation family from another, like I'm not from another country, but from Puerto Rico. Like people people hike from there, but it's just like, you don't through hike. You come to America for the opportunity to land the big job and, move into the big city and live this lavish lifestyle. So my parents, my family we never would have thought, even me, like I felt like I was like I was almost like shitting on them, like you moved to this state or whatever for me to have this great opportunity. I'm like shitting all over it because I'm going hiking in the woods and wasting time in the woods kind of thing. So it was like, man, like such a fucking mental, like just, it's the worst, man. Cause you feel like you're doing them dirty,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now you mentioned some names of former guests that have been on the podcast. Ginger Balls has been on a couple of times.
Yeah.
He is outstanding. IB Tat, we had IB Tat on before he did the CDT this year, and he has agreed to come back on and talk about his travels on the CDT. A couple of colorful characters. I love talking to those guys.
Yeah, man, those are two big dudes right there, man.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's talk about, before we get to the details, let's talk about pet peeves on the trail. I know that you and I, in our communications back and forth leading up to this episode, you kind of shared some of your pet peeves, and I thought it'd be good to maybe share some of those with our listeners out there. What really gets your back up out there when you see something or you hear something out there?
First and foremost, trail etiquette, letting a person come uphill when you're going downhill. Some people don't get that. That's fine. I actually saw like day hikers teaching their children to let people who are coming uphill have the right of way. That means a lot. Domesticated dogs not on leashes. I have a pit bull. If my pit bull was loose on trail, it'd be all over Facebook. My trail brother Bud got bit by one this year. I was in a shouting match with a lady because they were camped on trail and the dog started, it's always oh no, it's such a nice dog. And it's like, yeah, like the dog that's running at me, growling, ready to attack. Yeah, they're nice, right? Like they're nice to you, but that, it's hard because like bringing up this topic is such a touchy topic, but people who claim they're doing the trail and they're skipping all these miles, that's another thing that grinds my gears. It's like, I hike the way I do almost to pay homage to those that came before us. It's like, dude, the gear was a lot heavier back in the day. They didn't have all the shelters, like all this stuff. So when people say they're doing 3,000 miles, no one on trail did 3,000 miles this year. The trail at most is like 2,900. Like, I think you had a Tick and Talk on before me. They hiked the red line. They did every freaking red line mile. And they even said it that it wasn't 3,000 miles, but there's people that took every shortcut and say, oh no, we did 3,000 miles. That's just a big pet peeve of mine. It's like, I'm not here to like, cause I talk a lot of crap, I make memes and I poke fun at it. It's satire, I like the whole comedy aspect of it, but, that's one thing that I hate. Another thing is like when you take naked pictures on like a terminus and then you say, hey, don't sexualize my body. And like, dude, what are you doing then? So things like that.
So you going back to the earlier one, you're a firm believer or your philosophy, let's say that way. Your philosophy is if you're going to do a through hike, you should put boot on or trail runner on every foot of the trail. Yes or no?
The connected footpath is a big deal.
Yeah.
Trying, like I saw a quote that Kevin Hart said, like, don't try and be better than everyone. Try and be the best version of yourself. Mm-hmm. That means a lot to me. What are you doing out there? I saw people this year that were saying, oh yeah, I've lost less pounds on this trail than on the ATs. Like, dude, you skipped 300 to 400 miles of this trail. So like, you can't compare apples to oranges. So that's when I start calling people out. And I hate that about myself. I shouldn't care about what other people are doing. Hike your own hike. Yeah. But at the same time, it's like, dude, what? Stop being fake. So if you're going to be out there, I mean, do whatever you want to do, but I don't know. Just be real. Like I try and be honest. Even on this podcast, I'm telling people that I fucking smoke pot and stuff. Like, dude, keep it real. Like you have one life. You're going to be this fake person. And social media, unfortunately, manifests those characteristics in people's personalities. And if you're fake on trail, you're probably fake in real life. So it's stuff like that, it would be nice if people hiked a continuous footpath or whatever, but I don't know. What else are we doing out there?
Yeah. Good point. The yourself on trail. I mean, being out on trail, I think that is the biggest opportunity to be the most real version of yourself, right? You're not in society. You are living in the dirt. You are in high stress situations, sometimes for, days on end. And, there should be no facade out there. I mean, we've seen that when complete strangers meet each other out on the trail in that environment, they are, in many cases, sharing some deep, dark secrets about themselves in the first 5 minutes in conversation with a complete stranger.
It's wild.
And the trail has a way of just stripping you down to your base layer. And if you can't be real in that moment, yeah, you're right. You're probably very fake in real life.
Yeah, we were saying that a lot in the I don't know, the guys I was around with. Some top-notch guys I was around with this year, and we were just saying that, yeah, man, a lot of the traits that people bring on trail, it's exactly how you are in society. If you're dirty, if you're not punctual, if you're lazy, stuff like that, you can tell how a person is in just life and societal living by the way they act on trail, just disorganized, and they piddle, they take their time, stuff like that. I don't know.
All right. Hey, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to get into some of the details and the stories from Beats's 3 long trails, as well as the long trail in Vermont, which you did in 2020. So stay tuned for that. We'll be right back. The John Freakin' Muir Pod is sponsored by Outdoor Vitals, the ultralight backpacking gear company whose mission is to improve the mental, physical, and emotional health of mankind by facilitating impactful outdoor experiences. Outdoor Vitals creates innovative technical products with confidence-inspiring education that empower outdoor ultralight adventurers. Their focus on performance enables you to live ultralight with gear you can actually be confident with. Whether you're looking for an ultralight sleep system, shelter, or pack, or if you're looking for top quality apparel for the trail, you can find it at Outdoor Vitals. Do yourself a favor. Live ultra light. And welcome back. We are talking to Beats and going to get into some of the nitty gritty of his long trails here. And you started in 2018 with the AT. Was that your first? Had you done any training hikes leading up to the AT, or did you just show up and say, I'm going to do this?
I just showed up. I was taking a lot of day hikes. I had already been working at a restaurant. You're on your feet for 8 hours, but even before those 8-hour shifts, I would go on day hikes and walk and then come back to work and walk even more. So I guess my legs were already kind of prone to walking for hours on end, but yeah, I kind of just showed up.
Wow. So you had not done any kind of multi-day hiking prior to the AT?
I did one overnight on the AT, one just to test my gear,
right,
just so I could set up my duplex, light a stove, make a Nor rice side. That's all I did.
Wow. That is crazy, Beats, to go from, basically one overnighter to, okay, 2,200 miles. Let's go.
It was just I was so excited, it's that you're popping the cherry,
Mm-hmm.
It's you're going into this unknown world. It's oh man, what can happen kind of thing,
Right. And let's talk about that, because I imagine that going down to Springer Mountain, you probably had in your mind a certain set of expectations. Okay, this is what it's going to be like, and I'm ready for this. And
yeah.
Did reality match those expectations?
I expected the hard hiking, I was completely my gear wise, I was prepared. Mentally, I didn't have the right idea. I didn't realize there were gonna be so many water sources. I went up that Amicalola Falls, those 800 steps or whatever they are, with full water, with food that I didn't touch for the first month kind of thing. I was just carrying stuff for no reason. So expectation wise, there were a lot of noobs too, just like me, but I figured there were gonna be a lot more experts out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And any talking about the AT, any moments from the AT? We always like to hear about those kinds of stories.
And day 2, day 3, I got my bear line stuck in a tree. I was alone. My grandmother had passed day like 3, and I wanted to be alone. And I got my bear line stuck, and I was just like, I had started like wall rock climbing, maybe like a month or 2 or 3 before that. So like I thought I was like an expert climber. Started just slothing my way up a tree, like, hand over hand. And then like I was like 8 to 10 feet up, and I looked down. I was like, what the hell am I doing? I could fall and no one's around me. I could break a collarbone or something. And made my way back down and let the bear line up there. Next morning, jiggled it and just came right down. I got too close to a fire in a hostel, melted my rain pants. All these things, melted my socks near a fire. Man, there's too many moments that I probably can't even name them all.
Okay. And speaking of the bear line, did you encounter any bears on the AT?
On the AT, man, all you hear, New Jersey has the most bears. Mind you, I'm from Jersey. I day hike all the time. Like, these are my stomping grounds. Never seen a bear on any day hikes. When I got to Jersey on my AT hike, I took a 5-day zero just to be with friends and family, get dropped off, sleep at the trailhead, go up the next morning. I see the biggest bear I've ever seen, the biggest black bear I've ever seen in my life. Like, step on the AT, on my day hike, like on this high point. I'm like, bro, it's right there. I couldn't believe it.
Were you hiking solo then?
Yeah. By the time I got back, my trail brother had already went ahead, my late trail brother. And then there was like a guy, Bluebird. He was like half a day behind me. He caught up. So yeah, they were all there.
Yeah. So you know what they say, Beats, about bears is you don't have to be faster than the bear. You just need to be faster than the guy you're hiking with.
Yeah. It's wild too, because when I saw that bear, I started like backtracking, and like I got like however many yards, and I looked back and he was exactly where I was standing like moments later. I was like, man, thank God I moved, man.
All right. So when did you start your AT hike? What day?
March 31st at Amicalola Falls, and I was on Springer Mountain on April 1st.
Okay. And when did you finish up at Mount Katahdin?
October. Wow, man. October. It was the day before Ibitat. I'm not sure when we finished. October 7th or October 13th, October 3rd. I forget what. I remember the information that I was given was they closed Mount Katahdin by the 15th. And I saw people summiting even after that, but the goal was to get there before the 15th. So it was the 12th, maybe. I'd have to look at my social media to even.
Okay. So we're talking 6 months, 6+ months, maybe 6 months in a week.
186 days. That's the number that stands out. 186 days.
186 days. That is a big time commitment, man. Congratulations.
I wish it was longer. It's always too short. It is. It's always too short.
How many zeros did you take?
A lot. By the end, you don't want it to end. Like I started just the Little Red Hen, I think it's called, in Maine. I took like 5 zeros. In Jersey, I took 5 zeros. In the very beginning, I was hiking with my late trail brother, and he was just like, we gotta push. He was from Germany. He wasn't even on like a time constraint, but he was just like, we gotta push, Beats. You're gonna lose your legs. And it was that was true, because once I got back on trail after my 5 zeros in Jersey, New York got really freaking hard, man. That's a state that no one talks about on the AT. So yeah, a lot of zeros, probably even more. Yeah, definitely more zeros on the PCT and even more zeros on the CDT.
Yeah, we hear a lot about the routes in Pennsylvania. We hear a lot about Vermud, but we don't hear a lot about New York. You're right.
Yeah, man, it's in the cut. No one talks about it because you're talking about the rocks and then the bears, and it's like New York has its own challenges no one talks about.
Okay. Now, take us through maybe some of your favorite memories on the AT. Any stand out?
Man, so many, bro. I got a double rainbow on McAfee Knob. Unreal. Like, we waited for the storm to pass, and double rainbow comes out. Then we got a beautiful beautiful sunrise the next day. Oh man, the AT gonna make me cry, bro. Man, the AT was so freaking amazing, bro. Every hostel, all the trail magic, man. The first big trail magic, we got a Sam's Gap. It was like people were pulling out like 7 fold out tables and just all this stuff, catering, like everything in packages. Wow, the AT. Wow. I'm digging right now because like I have so many memories going through my head right now. The social aspects on the AT, man. You meet such great people. The AT, man.
Sorry, tell us about your late friend from Germany.
Oh man, the passenger, man. Yeah, I met him right before I met him at the Fontana, not the shelter, not the Fontana Hilton, but there's like a lodge, the Fontana Lodge. I met him through this guy named Handstand, who was a soldier who had been stationed in Germany, so he could translate. And then passenger was very fluent with English too, because he was a scuba diver, trainer, and all that stuff. Yeah, man. We met there, and we never left each other's side, man. He was also a fan of smoking. Once he saw how much bud I had brought onto the trail, he was just like, I'm gonna hang out with this guy, you know, because he had told me all the stories about Germany and how hard it is to like get it from Italy and all this stuff about putting in ketchup bottles and stuff. But man, bro, he was like 15 years older than me. He had led such an amazing life working I think he was an editor at some paper in Germany and stuff. And like all these things happened that had led him to come and hike the AT, because the Germans, they're big on hiking the AT. I think they have their own documentary out there that we don't have out here. So they take a lot of pride in that. And every time he'd tell me like, man, I'm Beats, when I get back to Germany, I'm going to be considered a specialist. I'm going to be a specialist. And I'd be so happy for him, you know? And, he taught me a lot about myself, you know. I have a short temper, you know. Man. He would tell me like, you have hot blood, man. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Man.
Now, remember those final days as you're heading up, getting closer and closer to Katahdin. Yeah. Take us through the emotions of finishing that first long trail. I know that you probably had to, at some point, no matter how confident you are, at some point on the trail, you've got to be thinking, am I going to be able to finish? Because all it takes is one accident, right? And
bro,
knock you out.
On the approach trail, my IT band, mind you, I went up the steps with full water, like 4 liters of water, full food that I wouldn't have touched for another 3 to 4 weeks. All this heavy stuff. I was panicking, and there's these 2 boys that I met, and they saw me sitting on a log, and I was stressing out. I was like, I'm not going to make it. They're like, no, like, just, you know, like, take your time. And, for the rest, it was like a 6 or 8 mile approach trail. And the last 3 to 4 miles, I was hobbling, like, absolutely. And people would see me from afar, like, that's how you do it, like, nice and slow. Cause I was going so slowly because I was really scared. And, the first 3 weeks to a month, I was in pain, like absolute pain, to the point where I'd be sound asleep, and I'd twitch a little, and the pain would make me wake up because of how much pain, like excruciating pain. And I don't know how I kept going, man. Like the pride, the fact that I had told everyone, maybe it was that. I don't know. Like I felt like I had to be out there, and I felt like I could do it, but my left IT band was so bad. It was so bad, man. So definitely the first day I was already like, I'm not going to make it. But, after that went away, after, I got a little knee brace and stuff, it went away, and I just felt like I was at home kind of thing, you know, like everything just kind of made sense after, like I could make over 10 miles a day. I was like, all right, like I can do this. And even with like my little injury, I was still hiking past people. So I was like, I'm not doing so badly, you know. I'm like, all right, you know. But definitely the first day I was like, I'm not going to make it. Like this isn't good. Doesn't look good. And
so as you're going up Katahdin, then are you getting emotional at this point?
Man, I'll be honest. Man, when I tell you it wasn't even me. It was like my body, like my soul. I saw the sign, because like, yeah, you tear up and stuff, but like I got to the sign and my body went like I just cried for 15 minutes. I was like, oh my God. And like I caught myself because there were people there and stuff. I was like, oh my God, like I'm crying, you know? But like that was uncontrollable. Like it was like from the soul. it was unreal, man. Seeing that sign like right in front of you was unreal, man.
Yeah, that 15 minutes of crying and coming from the soul, that's not unreal. That's real. That's as real as it gets, Beats.
Crazy, yo. Like you could see it because like once you're on like it's almost like a mesa. Once you get to the top of Katahdin, you can see the sign from like from afar, you know. And then when I got like a foot away, my body was just blew up, and I was like, "Oh my god!" Like I'm literally like crying, like my eyes out. It was unreal, so nice, yo.
Okay, and so the following year, you go across the country and you do the PCT in 2019, and this is a little bit longer, another 400 miles or so, and you're going all the way from Mexico to Canada, and so from Georgia to Maine, far. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it's got some significant termini, right? You're going from Mexico to Canada. That is something.
So cool, that trip. I took a Greyhound from Jersey to San Diego, so I got to see the entire country, kind of thing. Like that was cool. Like I had never been further west in the Mississippi. I had never been further west in Pennsylvania, so like seeing that was super nice. Unreal. Like you watch videos, but they don't do it justice. You get to that terminus, you get to the hosts. I'm drawing blanks right now.
Scout and
Frodo, man. You meet them. It's like, wow, I'm really here. And you meet so many Europeans because like the AT was littered with tons of ethnicities and cultures from all over the world. But you get to the PCT and a lot of people, like Europeans, love the PCT. Like it's I guess it's the views that drive them there. But you get there and you're really at the Mexican border and you see the little wall and you're like, what the hell? Like I'm really out here, man. It's like a completely different animal because the desert. Yeah, I'm from Puerto Rico. I'm used to like hot weather, but not like the desert, man. It's dry. I thought my hot spots were blisters, so I'm poking them with needles, realizing nothing's happening, just injuring myself even more. So that was unreal, man. Just getting to the desert, just the drive out there, seeing the sunrise and like the what do you call that? The undercast, because we were so high and the clouds were underneath the mountain peaks. Like what? Like we're driving to the terminus right now. Like this is unreal. The colors, all that stuff.
Yeah. So how many days were you on the PCT? You were 186 on the AT.
Wow. I definitely overstayed my welcome on the PCT. I started on 420 and ended October 23rd. It was less days, but yeah, it was less days, maybe 183, maybe, or something like that. You know, because it was from October 20th to April 20th to October 23rd. So it was essentially 6 months again. So I guess it was 6 months and 3 to 5 days, something like that.
Yeah, and you finished October 23rd up at the Canadian border. That's the weather had to be getting pretty dicey by then.
Yeah, I was with Ivy Tat, my boy Snazzy, boy Rabbit, and everyone had bailed. Everyone. A team came after us, like another group of 4, but luckily they had our boot pack, you know, and probably better weather. But we were in a slog, man. That was the worst. I wouldn't wish that upon anyone. Like frostbite conditions. We had to break into a freaking guard shack just to dry our stuff. It came out on the news for that because I'm a drama queen and made a big deal about it. Like all this stuff, man. It was it was a time to remember for real, yo. Like I'll never forget that. And it's unreal because like you get to Canada, you're super late. I went in without a passport. So getting back into the country, I had to go through customs. It's huge, like mental, like what's going on? Like, I just barely made it through avalanches. I'm in Canada. I had to get back into the country and then like customs and then finding a ride and then getting on Alaska Airlines. You get back and then you're in your parents' car. It's like, oh my God, like I'm in the car now. So that was a crazy ending, man.
And I'll go back to something you said a little bit earlier. You talked about so many ethnicities on the trail. And I want to clarify that because I think what you meant is that there are a lot of people from all over the world, primarily maybe Europe, who come to America to experience the long trails. But I'm interested to hear your perspective on another take on ethnicities. Do you see a lot of people, because you're a person of color, do you see a lot of people on the trail that look like you?
Nope. Short and sweet right there. Nope. To this day, I think I can still count the people of color that I've met on trail on my fingers and toes, maybe. Less than 15, I think. Yeah, it's unfortunate. I'm not sure if there's an outlet for it. You know, I'm not sure, like I've tried to do my research in regards to like, how can this increase in regards to getting people out there? Maybe it's the fact that the forests are farther away from like cities where most people of color are, but I have not met many, man. And what really pushed me was the fact that I met a calendar year Triple Crowner when I was about to finish the AT. Like the day before I summited Katahdin, I met Prodigy. He was a person of color. He was the first person of color to do the calendar year Triple Crown. And even to the man, we've kept in contact every year. On the PCT, I saw him. On the CDT, sent me so many packages. Like, I'm so grateful that I had met him. He's such a huge inspiration to me. But I have not met many people of color, man. It's just the truth. It's nobody's fault, you know? But they're not out there.
Yeah, Beats, how do we change that? Any ideas?
Oh, man.
Because America is a great, big, beautiful country full of people from all kinds of backgrounds who deserve to experience what it's all about out there.
The melting pot, this country, right? Man, and I go to my local REI. You see, we're there, but how do we change that, man? Just be present, I guess. Like people can see that I've done it, and maybe they can be like, you know what, if he can do it, that's how I felt like I could do it. Once I saw the Black Alaskan doing it, I was like, man, if he's doing it, I can do it. You know, I'm not a super athlete in any way, shape, or form. And I go to the gym all the time, but I'm not. I'm just a skinny Puerto Rican kid. You know, I'm nothing special. So just being a body that people can identify with and be like, oh man, like I'm his skin tone. I grew up in Jersey, stuff like that. Just getting more bodies out there. I feel like that's the only way, because this is something I've thought about for the past 4 years, you know?
Right. Now, I like what you're talking about is efficacy, and knowing that something is possible makes all the difference. I like to share the story that I saw in Valley Uprising. Did you ever watch Valley Uprising?
Oh man, too many times. You kidding me?
So, you know, they talk about that El Capitan was unclimbable, right? They didn't think it was climbable. And so the first team that did it, Royal Robbins and his team, it took them 18 months to climb El Capitan.
Yeah.
Right. But once it had been done, once they proved it could be done, I think the next time it was like 9 days.
Like Bridwell did it, was it?
Yeah. And then, you know, now we've got people climbing it in a day, in a matter of hours. Right. And so we go from that impossible to 18 months to now a matter of hours. So I think once you realize something is possible, once you see somebody who looks like you and who's out there doing it and being successful, that plants a seed in your mind that, you know what, I can do this. And you talk about that extreme personal experience with you. I mean, it's a perfect example.
Like even when I met Shadow, like, you know, like people think through hikers are either, because you're obviously people that through hike are going through a transition, like they either have just graduated high school or just graduated college or are going into retirement. So you think it's either really old people or really young people. The majority of hikers that I've met are in that 25 to 35 age range. So like once you see that someone your age is doing it, because Shadow was like my age. So I was like, dude, you're doing this? He's like, yeah, people do this. And then once I saw all the YouTube videos, like, oh crap, these guys are like all my age. So even that, just seeing that people your age do, it's like, oh, dude, I identify with that. Like I can do it too, kind of thing. So just feeling comfortable with the fact that there are other people that are like you doing it, man, it really does plant a seed for sure.
Mm-hmm. All right. Any moments out there on the PCT?
Oh man, what the PCT, man. So I almost kind of died out there. On the aqueduct session, you're in the Mojave, and I had just left. It's when you're in like a hiker town. I had gone to not hiker town, but I went to what's that called? What's that called? It's just another like grocery store kind of thing that you can go to aside from hiker town that just offers different amenities. I don't know what it was. Maybe I ate a burger. Maybe it's the fact that that's the only time that I did not filter my water, but it was coming out of a faucet. So maybe the water was bad there. I got Giardia. I was, man, spewing out of my mouth and my ass. And I was in the worst section. It was super hot, nobody around. The water sources there were like every 20 to 20 something miles. I forget what, but I was in a bad spot. The goal in that section was like, get through it in like 3 or 4 days. And I was there for like 6 or 7. So by like the 5th or 6th day, people who had passed me were in town, like messaging me on like Instagram. I'm like, dude, where are you? I'm like, yo, I'm still out here. Like, yeah, we're calling the police. Like, we're getting you rescued. I went to the hospital, put IVs in me. So that was a big moment. Then, man, the entire Sierras was a huge moment, man. Just crazy. That snow year, man, it was unreal. That, then the ending with Ivy Tat near Canada was a big moment. There's a lot, man. The trail that year, I had never shaken the devil's hand so many times. Literally every day, you're just shaking hands with the devil. Am I going to live? I crossed the South Fork of the Kings River in the Sierras where 2 girls had died the years before. Like, unreal. It was just white water everywhere. Man, too many. I'm telling you, too many moments on the PCT. Too many.
Favorite moment on the trail?
Oh, wow. Wow, man. Meeting those 3 guys at the end, man, I'll never forget that, bro. When we all came together, when Ibitat caught up to us in that last like 60 miles, because he was alone, he caught up to us. That was amazing because I knew I was like, oh, we're solidified now. Like we're, man. Then, man, just memories, whoosh, everything, like 2,650 miles going through my mind right now. Man, I don't know, maybe getting rescued on the aqueduct, realizing that I could still go. Man. I got a double rainbow at Crater Lake in Oregon. Unreal again, man. Just you're walking through a storm, and am I gonna get struck or not? And then the rainbow comes out. I've gotten rainbows in areas where it's like unimaginably beautiful, man.
You and the double rainbows. I mean, that's amazing. I don't think I've ever seen a double rainbow. Here you are. You've seen one on the AT and the PCT.
Unreal, and at like really like places where like they're like huge landmarks. The McAfee Knob is like Pride Rock and the Lion King. Crater Lake is like, have you ever been there? It's unreal. And then like I got another rainbow the last day on the PCT when we had just made it through all that snow, like where the snow pretty much started clearing out. A rainbow popped out. There's widowmakers falling all around us. You could ask Ivy Tat. Like we had like 3 or 4 trees fall as soon as we got to the northern terminus. Unreal. But then I had a rainbow pop out. I got it on picture. Unreal, man. Yeah.
And then in 2020, you took a little break, a little breather, and didn't do a long trail, but you did the long trail in Vermont. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. The world was on a break, right?
That's right.
And even then, I was still like, like hesitant about it. And I was in the Chick-fil-A drive-thru because we had gone on like a day hike. And I was like, man, if I can get a ride to the long trail, it's only 3.5 hours. You go to North Adams, Massachusetts, and you're there. I was like, I'm going to do it. And I didn't have my tent. My tent was out for repairs, but I was like, there are so many shelters on the long trail. It's literally based on shelters. So you can just stay in a shelter every night. Yeah, man, that's how it happened. But as soon as I found a ride, I had all my, I felt like I was experienced enough to like rough it. I wasn't ultralight, but I could be an ultralighter without a tent, So yeah, man, that was so cool. And then I felt like I was at home. The AT is my home. Like, I don't know what it is about the AT. I just feel like I'm super safe. There aren't grizzlies out there. like especially after the CDT, aside from the falling trees, I feel really safe on the AT. So once I established a ride, I was like, I'm going back home, you know. Like the shelter living is so nice, you know, going from shelter to shelter and having like a mileage where you could like push yourself to, because like on the CDT and PCT, there's no shelter, so you could like freestyle a hike and be like, oh, I'm just gonna do 17 and a half today. But like on the long trail on the AT, you can say, oh, I have to do 23, I have to do 17, stuff like that. So it's like you set goals for yourself. It just felt so good to be out there again.
It's a little more structured with those shelters in specific locations. And
again, the social aspect just flourished again because there were people in the shelter and you could share stories, and it just felt so real again. It just felt like, here I am, like I'm home again kind of thing. Okay, Beats. 2 questions. Best thing about sleeping in a shelter and worst thing about sleeping in a shelter? I guess the obvious is, you know, you get to hide from the weather, you know. You don't have to worry about trees falling on you. You're always going to meet someone cool. You're always going to meet someone cool, man. It's so many stories you hear. Wow, there's so many good things that come with a shelter. So many bad things too. You get the micro bears, you get the mice, you get those ignorant people that set up tents inside of shelters, and you're like, ah. And then the year that I went, well, everyone was COVID crazy, right? I met a guy who was out there with his sons. He was like, oh no, the shelter's pretty full. It's me and my 2 sons. And I'm like, it's a huge shelter. So like, you know, he's like, oh no, but we're a little COVID crazy. You know, we'd feel comfortable if you didn't. Okay. You would feel comfortable if I didn't stay in the shelter where a dozen thru hikers have already been through. People from all around the world are going through there every day, and you could just be at home, sir. And if you're feeling a little unsafe, why don't you tent? So it's like you get frustrated, you know, you run into situations like that. So it's like you're always going to meet a crazy person. You can meet a cool person and a crazy person. So it's like a double-edged sword every time, you know. And there's the mice, and I don't know. I guess the positives outweigh the negatives, though. Okay, all right, yeah, fair point. Now, Ginger Balls and Scrapbook just finished the long trail in Vermont. I don't know if you know Scrapbook. Do you know Scrapbook? I feel like I do. He's a triple crowner. He was a triple crown by the age of 21, and he was a high school student out here in my community. I learned this after the fact, and while all his friends were planning for, you know, their trip after high school, trip to Europe or New Zealand or wherever, he's planning on getting dropped off at the Mexican border by his mom to walk 2,600 miles up to Canada. And so he and Ivy Tat met at he and Ginger Balls met at Springer Mountain, where it was Ginger Ball's first long hike, and this was Scrapbook's 3rd long hike. He was going to be a triple crowner, and you know, Scrapbook had barely anything. He had to get a 13-pound base weight, and Ginger Balls, of course, being out of the Navy, he had 3 of everything because he to be prepared. And they looked at each other, and Ginger Balls looked at Scrapbook and said, "Oh, this guy's never going to make it." And Scrapbook looked at Ginger Balls and said, "Oh, this guy's never going to make it." I think it's just a hilarious story. But I want to get the 2 of them on to talk about their time on the long trail. That'd be interesting to hear how they reunited and took another trip together. So, Scrapbook's name is Josh Garrett. I feel like I met him on the 2018. I feel like I have. Okay. I think. I don't know. Could be. All right. And now let's get to the CDT. You're fresh off the CDT. How long ago did you finish? Wow. I'm going to say 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks ago. I forget the date. When the heck did we finish? October 1st, right? I think it was October 1st or September 30th. I went by too fast. Yeah. Is post-trail depression a real thing? Oh, man. Are you kidding me? My trail brother killed himself. It's a thing. You know what I'm saying? That's how he died. So, guys, be aware. Whoever's listening to this, let's get scientific with it. Your dopamine levels are off the charts on trail. You're eating chocolate, so they're already elevated. You're seeing all these nice views. You're meeting all these nice people, so you're happy all the freaking time. You get back in society, it's like all the stressors come back. Oh, man, I have to start paying for gas again. I have to get a job. I have to stop smoking weed. And people are giving me an attitude in the line. And I'm in traffic. All this stuff just hits you. You know what I'm saying? So it's real, bro. So I've had a really good transition this time because I was anticipating the end from the Southern Terminus. Day one, I was already like, this is going to end. I better get ready for it. So post-trail depression, yeah, like I've had some already. I've already had some mental breakdowns in these 3 weeks. Like I can't be around my dog because he's stressing me out. Try to not be around my father, kind of thing. It's just like all these things, you know, that you bump heads with. So it's real, man. It's super real. Everyone should be highly aware of it. The trail is great, but coming back home sucks badly. It really, really, really hurts. So yeah, luckily, like I can keep busy because I'm going to the gym. I have all these YouTube videos that I can reminisce about. You know, I have all this footage that I have to edit. You know, so you staying busy is so important. Staying busy is so important, man.
And your trail brother who took his life, was that passenger?
Passenger, yeah, yo.
Wow, that's terrible.
Think about that.
That's tragic.
That. Yo, bro, I'm fucking crazy. It killed me. It really killed me, yo.
Okay. Let's try and bring it back up here. How about highlights? Highlights from the CDT. What were some of your favorite moments out there?
So after the AT, you know, I had that one trail brother, and I was always searching, not to fill the void. I never had a tramley. All these people, I'm so jealous of the people who have these great experiences with all these people, you know. So the PCT for me was a joke in regards to the social aspects because everyone flipped. I don't blame them. The snow was really bad, so they flipped to another state to, you know, have a safer hike. Let's say that. So I was still lacking the social aspect, but on this trail, I met the coolest tramley, man. So that was the highlight for me, man. Meeting Moonshine and Tex and Money and man, Chef Boyardee and Bud. They really gave me such great memories. Highlights were, man. Almost every section of the CT has its own challenges, but they're all beautiful. The Wind River Range was like a short version of Sierras, and
that's what I've heard. Yeah.
Man, Wyoming, it's like a joke because everyone says, "Oh, Wyoming isn't real." Like, right? That's like a saying. Apparently, I had never heard of it because I'm from Jersey. You know, I don't know. I guess the Midwest humor, but Wyoming was my favorite state. The basin was unbelievable. Every section, Glacier National Park, it's that place isn't real. That, you know, like the mountain peaks are unreal. The snow this year was so cool. I don't like glissades, but you had to get off mountain peaks. Like the snow was so much in the San Juans where you had to do certain things to get by. So a lot of the highlights were just you scared, just being scared and trying new things. There's too many highlights on the CD. It was such a long trail.
So all told, those three trails, AT is like what, 2,200 miles?
Yeah.
PCT is what, 2,650, and you said you did about 2,900 on the CDT because there's so many different alternate routes.
I did around like 27-ish, you know, like 2,700 because, you know, you try and do the math. At the end, you don't really care, you know. But, yeah, they're on like 26, 27, 28 around there, you know.
And so that's about 7,500 miles by my calculation between those three trails for you.
Not long enough.
What's next for Beats?
Wow, bro. That's something that I ask myself every day, you know.
You've got the 3 long trails in America checked off. Any desire to redo any one of those or multiple of those, or you want to branch out and do something like the TA in New Zealand or the Camino in Spain or something else entirely?
If I hit the lottery, I'll do them all again. I'll do them for the rest of my life. Like, it's like that. Like, that's how passionate I am about these trails. I love being out there. If I hit the lottery, I'll do them all again. I want to see I'm so experienced now that I don't want to be around like all the newbies on the AT if I go northbound again. So I'd prefer to do it southbound kind of thing and be with myself and lose myself in the isolation of it all. But man, doing them all again is something that I would love to do. Absolutely. I would love to do a calendar year Triple Crown, but I don't like man, it's a lot. My shin splints kill me. Like, I like being out there. I like being immersed. I like stopping and smelling the roses. That's my kind of hiking, you know? Yeah, I can push myself, but it's like, man, like, do you see that mountain? Do you see this view kind of thing? It's like, so that's me. Like, I just like being out there, and I would love to be out there for the rest of my life kind of thing, you know?
Yeah. So hiker trash or not hiker trash?
Oh man, I'm one of the trashiest freaking guard checks just to stay alive kind of thing, you know? Man, I'm the biggest hiker trash out there, bro.
No, IB-TAT has a definition for hiker trash. He says not, you can't call yourself hiker trash unless you've spent the night in a bathroom.
Yeah, yeah, man. And it's such a safe place to stay too. I've stayed in privies in Washington where the rats are coming up the toilet and walking all over you, man. It's disgusting, but it's like, it's better than being out there.
Oh man,
out there, you know, I'm staying here kind of thing. It's windy out there, a tree can fall on you.
Hey, tell me about Mission Clearwater.
Oh man, Mission Clearwater, man. I almost feel like I let them down because I didn't promote them enough, but they reached out. I don't know if it's because of my social media following. I knew one of the guys that was working with them, and he wasn't going on a long distance hike last year, so he recommended that I take the reins, I guess. They provide clean water to, I guess, the less fortunate, and I guess they were concentrating that mission for the people of Uganda, I guess last year or in general. And yeah, I mean, I was the person I was one of the people who was out there to promote that mission, you know? And I know I'm coming off like I'm a failure, but it just feels like I did, because like I set a goal of $3,000 and I didn't reach that. And thinking back, it just feels like I didn't promote it enough. But their mission was to provide clean water. It's a what do you call it? A nonprofit, which means a lot, because I had never hiked for anything other than myself. You know, a lot of people are out there just hiking for themselves. You know, but then there are all those people that hike for St. Jude or like you know, post-trail depression or stuff like that, or you know, so it's just one of those nonprofits that it just means a lot to be a part of, you know.
So if people want to donate to Mission Clearwater and support that mission, how do they do that?
I still have a link on my Instagram. You just click the link and it comes up with all these donation options for sure. And you can always go to missioncleanwater.com and, you know, find a way to donate to them too as well. But man, it's a great nonprofit, bro. Like, I wish they had taken me on early on just to, like, you know, get more promotion for them. It's just, man, there's so much you can say about a nonprofit, you know. It's a nonprofit. You're helping someone out there, so it's great.
Okay. Now, I reached out to you on Instagram. I found you on Instagram, and you got back to me immediately, so I appreciate that. But you also have a YouTube channel, which you have referenced a few times in the podcast tonight. Tell us about what people can find on your YouTube channel, and what do you want people to walk away with after having that interaction with you on seeing your videos on YouTube? Wow.
So my YouTube channel is nothing like IB-TAT's. IB-TAT is a great freaking YouTuber. I don't say much. Then I'll wake up and I'll say, hey, like, I did this many miles today. I'm going to try and do this many miles. The elevation is going to be this much. And then I'll show short clips throughout the entire video, but I'll play music, you know, music that I like. It's all copyrighted stuff, because like, I'm not going to make any money off of it. I don't have enough followers and stuff. But what I want people to see is like almost like a first person just view of what it's like to hike the trail. You know, I try and show the hard parts, because like, people always tell me, like, don't make it seem like it's so easy, but it's not, man. You're stumbling and you're going through it. You're getting hailed on, and you're getting rained on. But I want people to realize that, man, there's a beautiful world out there. Like, even now, your background, man, evolution, like, man, like, there's a lot of stuff in this country. Like, this country is so freaking beautiful. Like, it's our country. People from all around the world try so hard to come to this country just to walk through it. And then there's people living in this state that have no idea what Wyoming looks like, and they just have this preconceived notion of what the country's like. And like, I wish I can get more of the trail magic and just like the way trail angels treat us kind of thing. Cause like, I'm only getting the views, but man, if I could show people how kind the world is, like there's a lot of kind people, there's so much love in this country alone. I mean, you don't see that on the news. You don't see that in everyday living almost, you know, because everyone's like in their own bubble. But when you're out there and you almost kind of depend on a ride, man, you see all these angels just pop out of the woodwork. But for my channel, you're just going to get views. You're going to get like all right music. I'm not sure what people like as far as music goes, but yeah, you're not going to get me talking too much. That's one thing. I don't give out gear tips and stuff. Like I wish people were interested in my videos as much, but you know, like I don't have a following like that. But you're going to get views. That's right. That's what you're going to get. You're going to get views and all right music, and you know, me saying, man, this day was all right kind of thing, you know.
You're going to get views. There are worse things to get. So that's awesome.
For sure.
Okay. Hey, Beats, you know where we are?
You know where we are or what we are?
Where we are, yeah.
Where are we?
We are at that time of the episode where I turn to you and ask you for your pro tip insight of the week. What bit of wisdom do you have to share with our listeners to make their next outdoor experience even better?
One thing that pops into my head that people don't talk about is like, it's not a race. It's not, but it is. Like in the very beginning of the AT, you are racing people to the campsites to get a campsite. So when you're in a bubble, you got to make sure you get to the campsite before others do. That's one thing that always stuck in my head, especially on the AT. I'm like, dude, I'm racing these people to get a decent campsite or a spot in the shelter. That's one thing.
I love that. It's not, hey guys, this is not a race against other people unless it's for a campsite and you're early on and you're in that crowd of people. You got to get to that campsite first. Nice.
It's 5 p.m. You better get there before everyone else does, you know, better be faster than the slower people. Man, you know, when it gets cold, be aware of your water filters for sure. I kept calling it Triple Crown tips this year. I would use my op sacks, my odor-proof sacks. When it's like a hot day and you're sweating, I'd fill those up with water and then like take my shirt off and like rinse them out kind of thing. So you don't get like ringworm on your back. There's so many little things that I can go over, you know. Man. Care about each other. That's one thing, you know. Care about your fellow hiker, man, because they might be in a hitch where they're like, hey, I know that guy, pull over for him, and you might have been waiting for a hitch for 3 hours. There's so many little things that you don't realize happen on a trail. So be kind to each other, help each other out, because you're gonna be the one in need one day.
Karma.
For real. It's so real out there, man. It's crazy. Yeah.
Okay. So there you have it. That's it. This episode is just about in the books. Hope our listeners enjoyed our time with Beats. Want to thank him for joining us this week. Beats, how can our listeners keep up with you on social media, and where can they find updates on your latest adventures?
My Instagram is E4 and the word exploring. My YouTube is E4 and the word exploring. Pretty easy, you know.
Where does the 4 come from?
I just made it catchy because the E is for exploring, you know, because my name's Elliot.
Got it.
Yeah, and
Got it.
yeah, I used to send like.
You're not Elliot the 4th.
No.
E for exploring. Got it.
Yeah, there's great Elliots that came before me and my family.
All right. Remember to check out the pod on social media as well. We are on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And if you have comments or clips you want to share, you can send it to me at johnfreakinmuir@gmail.com. Beats, I'm also looking for you to share a recommendation for a book, a movie, documentary, YouTube channel, website, something, some kind of outdoor media to keep our listeners connected to the trail when it's off season. What do you have for us?
Man, the one I always watch, man, it's in the very beginning. Man, I hate that it's so generic, but I've always liked the Darwin videos, man. I learned everything from that guy, and he just finished his Triple Crown, and I met him, and he was like, it's like full circle. It's like, dude, thank you for teaching me the ways of the backpacking world. So Darwin, there you go. You're not the first person to say that. Darwin is a popular one there. Very good. Yeah.
All right. And before we wrap things up, I've got one more segment for you called What Have I Not Asked You that you're dying to tell me about? Anything else you want to get off your chest?
Wow, man, I wish I was prepared for this. Man, I guess something that I should actually start to follow myself. Hike your own hike, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is a wrap from the John Freaking Muir studio. Any shout outs to friends and family beats? I know we've covered a lot of trail names here. Shadow, Tex, Cruz, Pika, Ginger Balls, IB Tat, Handstand, Prodigy. I mean, you name dropped a lot of them.
Snazzy, Rabbit, man,
there you go.
Bud, X from Texas, Moonshine, that's the homie. Man, I have Money from San Diego. Man, I got a lot of love for a lot of people out there, man. Oh, Yodi. Oh, man, Yodi and Cruz. I had a Widowmaker fall on my face on the AT. I have a huge scar right here. I screaming bloody murdered. Man, they saved me in the middle of the night, and I still keep in contact with them. So those two boys right there, Cruz and Yodi, never forget those guys.
Now, hang on a second, Beats. You know, we went through the AT 2018, and I asked you about moments, and I did not hear about a Widowmaker falling on your head.
Yeah, right before I crossed the Mason-Dixon line at Raven Rock Shelter. Windy night, everyone's in the shelter, you know, and when I started a thru hike, I always envisioned myself being in a tent, you know. I'm going to tent the entire time. But one night, super windy and stormy, I'm watching World Cup highlights. I take my contacts off. It's 9 p.m., going to bed. 30 seconds after I take my contacts out and shut everything off, a branch breaks and falls on my head. I have a huge scar still here, like right there kind of thing. Like, man, when I tell you I was knocked out, but like in a complete daze. And then I get back into like consciousness and I feel a rush of heat and then drip coming off my nose. I go, help me, like screaming over and over and over. And Yodi used to work at a gun range and Cruz was just like a few yards away from me, like, we're coming, like blood everywhere, man. So that's another thing, man. Be mindful of the Widowmakers. Like there's so many trees on the AT. Be mindful of those because they're gonna come down. They're gonna come down, man.
Nice. That's another pro tip right there. Watch out for the Widowmakers. Yeah. Look above you when you're making your tent.
For sure.
Okay. Well, thank you for tuning in. Always remember the trail is the trail. It doesn't care if you want to go downhill. It doesn't care if it's almost dark and you're looking for a campsite. It doesn't even care if you're tired of shaking hands with the devil all day. The trail is the trail. Embrace the suck.